Welcome to another 3-day project, and today we have these 3 projects. So we have the pimple, touch, and microscopic. So I wanted to work a little bit with organic forms, and it's a project that I almost didn't do because during that day, that specific day, I did this project at like 11 o'clock at night because I was working all day on the More Fractile plugin, and I'm gonna have a video on that on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I needed something quick, and I had already worked on some test projects. So I do have a folder with a lot of test Blender files with setups that I'm trying to build as I go. And I had this from a tutorial that I followed from Sin Terrell. So this is the differential growth in Blender, and he has a nice in-depth video on how he was actually able to create this type of growth. There's a lot of stuff that I don't really understand, and this is the tutorial that I had to follow up close to be able to create this type of setup. As you can see in the first one, I kind of did something I shouldn't have done in the subsurface scattering. I'm going to show you some of the subsurface scattering settings that I used, and as I went along I kind of did a better job here, and I'm going to show you how I was able to create this kind of dark spot. As you can see in the middle here, it was actually pretty easy. And here the third one, I mean, this is exactly what I wanted to create in the first place. So the details is there, and there's a nice coloring happening. And yeah, so let's go through the first one, which is the pimple. And I'm not going to go in depth. So these are the same settings that he used in his video. I'm going to have this video linked below. But yeah, so there's a lot happening. This is the first time working with the simulation zones. Something that I didn't do for this one was to actually bake the simulation. So I'm gonna try to do that. I can't remember how much I left the simulation run, but I think it was somewhere 14. In the other project, I did add a bake node to be able to keep the simulation here at that frame. But yeah, let's turn on the render, and as you can see, the only thing that I did apart from the same setup was to play around a little bit with the texture and my lighting. And as you can see, I have a couple of lights here. I'm going to open the empties and turn down my lights so we can see what's happening. So we have one area light on the top, another one on the bottom, and the two are kind of creates a cross section in the middle. And the nice thing about this empty is that you can change this around easily. So I'm going to open up my lights again, and let's go very quickly inside of the shader. The only thing that I did apart from adding some roughness was to add a little bit of coat to kind of have this shine back on, because without it it's very flat, but I wanted some shininess on those kind of pimple. And the subsurface, so the subsurface, I set it to a random walk skin, but it didn't come out the way that I wanted, and I should have used just the Christensen burley, which gives a cleaner look. And yeah, it's the first time I'm trying to play around with these three. I thought they were the same, but even with the same settings, they are not applied the same way. So as you can see with the random walk skin, there's some color things happening here. It's not really working properly, but using the burley method, it gives us a nice shiny looking subsurface. So yeah, I should have used this. So let's go back inside of the geometry node, and let's see if I did something differently. I changed my voxel size 0.002, and I added more density. I also changed the multiply. In his tutorial, he was using 25, but I decided to use 2 so that it's not growing as fast, because I had an issue with some artifact that I was creating with the simulation at high speed. So yeah, be sure to change the multiply. So it depends on the geometry of the object and the amount of vertices that it has. So yeah, be sure to play around with the multiply factor and with the noise texture. So as you can see, it's set to 0, so it's applied everywhere. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this setup. So again, shout out to TFMSTYLE for the simulation growth setup. Let's jump inside of the second one. And as you can see right off the bat, once you open it, it's going to be already set up. And as you can see, inside of the geometry node setup, I have a bake frame. So I've baked only the frame 60. That way you don't have to reload the simulation. But if you want to change something, you will have to delete this. So first of all, I have a noise here that I didn't delete. I've changed the scale of the noise. I added again 25, and that's because I actually added more subdivision inside of the icosphere. So if I added this to 2, it would have taken forever to kind of get to this part. So I needed to turn up the multiply factor for the growth to happen. So yeah, we have this nice looking shape. And when it comes to the lighting, so let's press render to see what's happening. And I'm going to talk about the lighting because the setup, unfortunately, I can't really give my input since I took this straight up from the tutorial. So I have a couple of lights here. And as you can see, the 2 last lights are actually inside of the model. So I'm going to go to my light, to the object. And if I take this back up, you will see that the light goes inside of the subsurface. And let's take a look at the light. I changed the shape to disk. So it's creating this kind of cross section where the light affects everything around except the part that comes up the other side of the light. So we have this kind of black spot. And of course, I added 2 more lights to light up the sphere, have that glow again. And the last one, yeah, so I added the last light to create this kind of red glow inside of the sphere. And let's take a look at the shader editor. This time I used the right subsurface method. I changed the scale a little bit. Inside of Photoshop, I then made it a lot darker. So that's how this came up. All right, and the last project, which is one of my favorites so far. Again, we have the same setup. We have the bake, and I went with a Voronoi texture this time, set to smooth F1 to kind of have something a little bit different. I added 1 more subdivision inside of the mesh. So we have this more concentrated growth happening on the sphere. And if I go out of the camera, you can see that the circles, the waves are happening more often. And yeah, we have this kind of elevated growth on the top. So let's press render. And this time I have only 2 lights. I have one very small one, which is right on top here. The other one is kind of face forward, but covers a larger area. So I just love how this looks inside of the texture. Let's go inside of the shader editor. And I have exactly the same thing. Shirley Burley, radius, and my scale code as well. And that's pretty much it. And I think that the lighting made the whole difference. I'm not sure if now I would have added this light right in the middle because it caused some issues while trying to color correct this. So yeah, without it, I would have a nicer outcome, but you know, it is what it is, right? So yeah, that was the microscopic series. So I'm pretty glad I was able to make this happen because I wasn't sure what to do in 30 minutes. So I'm glad I came up with this very quickly to be able to have a daily that day. I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.